Hi everybody and welcome back to the Stamperia Ooh La La mini album tutorial series designed for Scrap and Create. As a reminder, all of the products that I am using from the Ooh La La collection are linked in the description box below to the Scrap and Create website, so you can just go ahead and click on those links to purchase all of these products to follow along with the tutorial. So let's get started. In today's tutorial, we're going to begin working on the front of page 2. So I have a piece of my ribbon that is about 3 inches long, and I'm going to do the same thing on this one that I did on the front of page 1, where I'm going to make a loop. I have the center of my flap marked, so I'm just going to place some adhesive down here first. And then I'm going to take my ribbon, make my loop, and place it on my paper here. I want to make sure that my loop doesn't hang down from the bottom of the page, and then I'm going to place it side by side so that there's not too much bulk when I go to place my paper over top of this. Then from the 12 by 12 paper, I have cut this image. It is 5.5 by 8 3/4, and I used my corner rounder on the bottom 2 corners. I've inked my edges, and I'm going to adhere this here to the center of my flap. We'll come back later and add some decorations to the front, but for now I'm going to open this up. I'm going to turn this sideways to make it easier to fit on frame, and I need to place a magnet here first. So I'm going to be very careful where I place this magnet because I don't want it to be too far down where it catches on this flap that we're going to make a pocket, but I don't want it too close to the edge where you can't cover it with paper either. So I'm actually going to be placing this here right past where the edge of my pocket is. So that should be a good spot for it. Then I have a piece of my lighter blue paper. It measures 5.5 by 1 1/4. I've rounded the top 2 corners and inked my edges. I'm going to be adhering this down here, covering my magnet. Once this paper is on, I'm going to take my adhesive and apply just a thin strip down both sides of this flap, and then close it into a pocket. And then I'll use my bone folder to burnish this down. Now from my 8 by 8 paper, I did cut this paper to 5.5, and it is 8 inches. I rounded the top 2 corners. This paper is going to go here, covering this flap. Next, we're going to embellish this. So first, from my adhesive paper cutouts, I have the lamppost, and I'm going to place this off to the left-hand side by the door. So I want to make sure that it is straight up and down, and I'm going to just place it so that it is right at the edge of my paper. And then I have one of the little flowers from the adhesive paper cutouts that I'm going to place on my lamppost, right about here, to give it some decoration. And then I have the chipboard girl with the suitcase. If you don't want to use the chipboard piece, you can fussy cut one of the girls from the collectibles papers, and I'm going to place her here. So once I have adhesive on her, I'm just going to set her down here towards the bottom. And then I have one of my paper flowers from the paper collection. I'm not sure if this is from the 12 by 12 or from the collectibles, but I'm just going to adhere the center part down. The rest of it is flipped up. So I'm going to place this here. It will smash down a little bit whenever this is closed, but it will also give just a little tiny bit of dimension too. So I'm going to put that right on the flowers that are already on the paper above the door, just like that. Then I have the piece that was left over from the paper here. I just rounded all four corners, inked the edges on both sides, and I'm going to leave it like this as a journaling card that I'm going to be placing here in my pocket. Now, if you want to make a photo mat out of this, you can, but you got to be really careful because I don't want this to be in the way of my magnet. The more things that are in the way of that, the harder it's going to be to close the page. So I'm going to make sure that when this is in here, it doesn't cover the magnet. And I think I'm going to leave it sideways just so that it's peeking out, but it still leaves that magnet open. Then I'm going to take a coordinating magnet and place it on top of my paper and remove my backing. And then I will close my page to secure my magnet down here at the bottom. Next, from this 12 by 12 paper, I've cut this to 5 3/4 by 9 1/2 and inked my edges. So I'm going to place this here on top of the base of the page, covering my magnet, and then come in and add some decorative elements in my photo mat. I've taken my light blue cardstock and cut one piece to 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 as my photo mat. I've inked the edges on both sides, and I'm going to be placing this here, but I'm not going to be putting it down on the page. If you want to put it down on the page, you can, but I'm going to remove mine. And I'm going to use this piece from my collectibles as a tuck spot down here in the bottom corner. And then I have my chipboard Eiffel Tower piece that I'm going to place over here. So I'm going to line these up first like this, so that this is all the way adhered down, and then this is going to be again a tuck spot, and this will be adhered down too. Then from my collectibles paper, I believe this is from the collectibles, I have these two. They're the identical shape, so that when these are on the photo mat, I'm going to put one on each side. So this is actually going to go on the corner of my mat, and then on the back side I'll have this one so that it covers on both sides. And then I have these that I've cut. I believe these are from the 8 by 8 paper collection, and I'm going to put one on each side, and I will probably put this here so that it's towards the center of my photo mat. I'm going to first put this back down because I need to line everything up to make sure that it will all fit in here when it's done. So again, I'm just placing this just a little bit above the heads of the pigeons and sticking the Eiffel Tower back behind there. And then, yeah, I should have plenty of room, so I just want to make sure that everything will fit on here with this in the center. So the first thing I'm going to do then is look at this. So I need to add my adhesive up my whole side of the Eiffel Tower. And then I'll place this here, like that. And with this one, I'm going to add my adhesive just to the bottom edge and that right side that's going to be overlapping the Eiffel Tower, like this. I want to make sure that nothing is adhered down. It's catching my photo mat, so that's good. And then I will take this, so from here to about the middle of my photo mat, I'm going to add just a little tiny bit of glue. And then I'll place this piece on it. And then for this one, I'm going to add my adhesive here onto the back of the piece that I just put on the front so that they are sealed, and then just a little tiny bit on the edge of the photo mat. And I'll place this one here. Then taking my first one here, I'm going to just add, actually I don't want it on the bottom part of that. I want to be able to have my photo slide underneath of that. So I need the top portion of this to have adhesive on it. And then I will also need to add a little bit more adhesive to this part so that I can adhere that second one down and catch it on there. So now this is open at the top, so then the photo mat or the photo will slide underneath of that. Perfect. Now I'm going to slide this back in here. Okay, so it will slide under. There we go. It will slide under, fit perfectly in there. And then I have one final piece that I think I'm going to put here, but I don't want it to be covering the birds. So I'm going to be very careful and just put a little tiny bit of adhesive on the bottom and place this just above the head of those birds. To add a few more photos to this page, I've cut one piece of my pink paper to 3.5 by 4.5, and then I have two of my pieces of darker blue paper that are 3.25 by 4.25. I'm going to adhere one piece to each side of this for a photo mat, and I'm going to add a pull at the top using these two fussy cut pieces, and we're going to place it in this pocket here. Now that I have my photo mats on, I'm going to be placing this here, and just like I've done previously, I'm just going to adhere this into the center. So on the cardstock at the top, I've got my adhesive, and I'm going to place this here. And then on the back side, I'm going to add my adhesive to the macaroon and then to the cardstock below it, and then place this one on top, lining everything up and pushing them together. So now it is open, so those photos will slide under it. But then I have my tab, because I'm going to place this in here, I want my tab to be able to help me pull this out of my pocket. So just like this one is off to this side, I'm going to set this one off to that side of the magnet. And now we're going to decorate the front of the page. In order to decorate this page, I did bring in the coordinating page. I want to offset where the flowers are so it's not all bulky in one place. The front is here, this one is here. I'm going to be placing my flowers down here. And I'm going to be using this spray of the blue flowers and placing it here. It actually has a metal wire running through it, so it is actually catching on my magnet, which is good. So I'm going to be placing this down here like this. And then I have one of my pieces cut from my papers. I've shaped it and I'm going to place this here over top of that stem to give it a little bit more dimension. So first, I'm going to just add my adhesive to the backs of my flowers. This will hang over the edge of the page a little bit on the side, and I'm going to add a little bit to my stem. And then I'm going to place this here and press down on my flowers and my leaves, but not on this one here. I put a little too much adhesive down this one. I don't want it to stick to the one below that, so just be really careful. And then I'm going to take my adhesive for this flower. And adhere it here, kind of covering that wire a little bit. It'll still be there, but it's just not as noticeable with that flower covering it. And then for up here at the top, I have this card. This is cut from the, I believe, the 12 by 12 paper. I've inked my edges and I'm going to put it up here in this top right corner. Then I have this piece that's from, I believe this is maybe the back page of the collectibles. And I'm going to put it here. And then I have my little camera piece from the chipboard that I'm going to tuck behind here and layer this up like this. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove this little card and add my adhesive to it first. I want to make sure that this flower and this camera are far enough above her head that they aren't running into her hat. So then I will place this, it's maybe 1/4 of an inch from the edge of that decorative paper. And then I'll go ahead and apply my adhesive to my flower piece. And then to my camera piece, tucking it like that. And I'm going to leave my page like this, and that page is completely finished for the front. So this is it for this tutorial for page 2, the front side. And in the next tutorial, we will decorate the back side. If you're just joining the tutorial series and you want to follow along, go ahead and look in the description box below for the links for the Stamperia Ooh La La papers, the flowers, and the chipboard pieces that I am using. They're all available on the Scrap and Create website. See you in the next tutorial.